Brightmoor Kids. Welcome back to our series that's all about one of the most extreme heroes in the Bible, Joshua. We're learning about how Joshua lived for God to the extreme. Have you ever forgot something that you were supposed to remember? Maybe it was like your mom's birthday. Everybody else got a card for her, but you didn't get one because you forgot. Or maybe it was a test at school. You didn't study at all because you totally forgot that there was the test that day. That has to be the worst feeling ever. What is something you have forgotten that ended up turning out badly? Well, today's story is all about remembering. First, let's check in with our extreme sports specialist, Band-Aid.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Band-Aid, and I'm here to continue our extreme series on Joshua. For the last few weeks, we've been looking at the extreme life of Joshua, but I'm not sure you remember all the lessons. So today, we're gonna do an extreme review to see how much you remember. All right, I'm gonna quiz you to see how much you remember about our lessons so far. Are you ready? The first person to yell out the correct answer is the winner. Question number 1. Where did Joshua spend lots of time in order to get stronger in his faith? Yes, Joshua spent time in God's presence in the tent of meeting. He knew if he wanted to do big things for God tomorrow, that he needed to spend time in God's presence today. Question number 2 is true or false. When Joshua was a spy, he brought back a bad report because he was so scared. Yep, that's false. Joshua and Caleb said, "Yep, we can do this because our God is bigger than our fears." Question number 3. What was the name of the big river that the Israelites crossed over? Nice! Yes, the Jordan River was at flood stage, but God did a miracle and dried it up so they could walk across. Well, there is a reason that I wanted to test you to see how much you remembered about our lessons. Because in today's lesson, we're talking about never forgetting. We're going to look at something that Joshua did for the Israelites that was awesome, and it's how they remembered to never forget about God's miracles. Well, it's time for you to get back into your lesson today, and it's time for me to head off to my next extreme stunt. My name's Band-Aid, and I'll see you next time on Joshua, Extreme Hero.
You all did a great job remembering what we've learned so far. It's even more important to remember what God has done for us in the past. When we remember what He has done in the past, it's easier for us to believe what He can do in the future. We are going to learn about how we should never forget in our lesson today. But right now, we gotta find out what you gotta know.
What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know?
Hey there, kids. I'm Big Ray, and I'm here to tell you what you gotta know. Today, we're learning about how we always have to remember what God has done in our lives. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them, "I won't forget what God has done for me." That's right, because God has done so many great things. He's saved me, He's loved me, He's cared for me, He's protected me, He's done so many great things. I can never forget all the things God has done for me, and you shouldn't either. It's dangerous to forget. Why? If I forget, will a meteor strike me? No. A bird's gonna eat my toes? No. A piano's gonna fall on my head? No. It's just important to remember what God has done for you. That way you won't fear or worry. God will always take care of you, like He always has. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them, "I won't forget what God has done for me." That right there is what you gotta know. I'm Big Ray, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
What you gotta know?
by Raven anymore, so you can just call me Artiste. Now, I am almost done with a wonderful painting, but it's time for me to take a break. So I thought we could look at the Powerverse together. See, I need your help because I was sleepwalking last night and I started painting the Powerverse using pictures instead of words. So now I don't know what it says. I need your help to figure it out. Let's take a look at it. But then I re-telephone. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Then I redial all you have done. I don't think that's it either. Perhaps call. Oh yes, recall all you have done, O Lord. I thought bubble. I think very hard. No, that's not it either. What do you think it is, boys and girls? Remember! I remember your wonderful deeds of a ruler. What in the world? I don't think a ruler belongs in this verse. What could that word be? Measure? No? Well, let's see. Rulers measure things that are long. Oh, long! Long ago. Psalm 77:11. Oh, that's it! I'm so glad you could help me. Now, let's make sure that we don't forget it. So, everyone stand up and let's say it all together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. But then I recall all you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. Psalm 77:11. Great job, everyone. You can all have a seat. Now it's time for me to show you a brand new piece in my exhibit, Art to the Extreme. This one is called Extreme Scrabble. Are you ready for this? I don't think you are. Ready? Here it is. Wow, have you ever played Scrabble inside of a volcano? I didn't think so, but this lad right here sure did. In fact, he's the expert at Scrabble. That's why his brain is so big in that large head. He's the Scrabble expert. Now, I bet you didn't notice this either. Every letter is an X for extreme. Yes, I know I'm an excellent speller. Good luck, little man. I hope you win the Scrabble championship. Well, thank you everyone so much for helping me with today's Powerverse. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Today's Bible story picks up where we left off last time. Joshua had just taken over for Moses as the leader of the Israelites. It was now time for Joshua to lead the Israelites into the promised land. The land God promised to give to who? The Israelites. There was just one problem. The Jordan River was in front of them, flooded, filled with water. Knowing that God was in control, Joshua ordered the priests to wade out into the floodwaters of the Jordan River while carrying the Ark of the Covenant. When the priests got up and out into the water, God caused the river to stop flowing and pile up in a heap several miles upstream. Right in front of their eyes, the Israelites watched the river go from overflowing to completely dry. The entire nation of Israel crossed over the Jordan River on dry land. While they crossed, Joshua ordered one man from all 12 tribes in Israel to pick up a large rock from the riverbed and take it to the other side with them. The moment they got to the other side, they turned around to see the river started to flow again, flooding the riverbed just as it had been before. What happens next was very important though. Joshua told the 12 men who had picked up the 12 stones to stack them on top of each other. They built a giant altar to honor God. Joshua told them that the altar, or this altar specifically, memorial, would remain there for years and years and years. Why? Joshua said, these stones will be something that will always remind you of what God did for you today. Many years down the road, when your sons and daughters ask what those stones mean, you will be able to tell them how God allowed you to cross the river on dry land. The Israelites made an altar with the 12 stones and made a decision to always remember what God did for them that day. Just like the Israelites knew the importance of remembering, we need to learn the importance of remembering as well. In the rest of today's lesson, you'll learn the importance of remembering what God has done so that you can always have faith for what He will do, no matter what. It's gonna be amazing.
The Faithful Hall of Fame, Joshua. This is Joshua.
Hello.
Joshua was the leader of the Israelites, who God would use to take his people into the promised land.
Yeah, let's do it.
Joshua readied his people to cross the Jordan River, which was the only thing dividing the Israelites from the land that God had promised to them.
All right.
We're here. Okay.
They camped beside the river for 3 days, waiting, just as the Lord had commanded them. At this time of year, the Jordan River was flooded and flowing with so much water that it was impossible to cross on foot.
And then the Lord said, let there be light.
Hey, priest.
Yeah.
Come on.
God told Joshua to tell the people that the priests would carry the Ark of the Covenant and lead the people through the water. He told the priests to step into the rushing waters,
Wait. Huh?
and when they would do this, the waters would stop flowing.
All right.
And as soon as the priests did this, the water of the Jordan River did stop flowing.
Yeah.
And the priests stood with the Ark of the Covenant on dry ground as the Israelites crossed to the other side.
All right.
God told Joshua to send 12 men from the 12 tribes of Israel
Go get it.
to take 12 stones from the place that the priests were standing. When all this had been finished as God commanded, Joshua called the priests from the Jordan.
We're good. Come on.
As their feet left the Jordan River, the waters came back into place, just as they had been.
Wow.
Yeah.
They brought their stones to their camp and set them as a memorial, so future generations might remember the story of how God brought His people through the Jordan River on dry ground.
Today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane. I want everyone to close their eyes and try to remember your favorite memory of all time. Something that happened in your life that you absolutely loved. I'll give you a second to think about it. Do you have it in your mind? Okay, you can open your eyes. What was your favorite memory? What did you just remember? Great, those are some fun memories. Now, tell me, after you remembered those good times, did you feel happy or sad? Happy. That's right. Just by remembering, your mood changed. Those memories had power over your emotions. Actually, that reminds me of our first point today.
There is power in remembering. We learned from our Bible story that there's power in remembering. The Israelites built a memorial of 12 stones to remember what God had done for them. It reminded generations of people of the power of God. When you remember something, it changes the way you feel. It changes the way you see things, and it changes the way you live. Remembering is powerful, and that's especially true for remembering what God has done in your life. When you remember what God has done for you in the past, you are filled with hope, and you're filled with faith, and you're filled with excitement about what God can do right now and in the future. Even when you face a major obstacle like the Israelites did, you can remember what God has done in the past and know that He has the power to take care of you. There's definitely power in remembering, but also,
There is danger in forgetting. How many of you guys have a pet? Awesome. What kind of pet do you have? What's their name? Is it a boy? Is it a girl? Me personally, I have a pet, St. Bernard. His name is Brutus. He's about 1.5 years, and he's 150 pounds. He's a big boy. Having a pet is a huge responsibility. You have to feed the pet. How many of you guys have to take the pet out to go to the potty? No, that's all super important. Those are critical in order to keep your pet alive and healthy. Can you imagine what would happen if you forgot to feed your pet for a couple of days? Or could you imagine what would happen if you didn't take your pet to go outside to the bathroom for a couple of days? Or what about if you forgot to refill your pet's water bowl, right? That would be terrible. Forgetting to take care of your pet can be dangerous. It's so important to remember. The same is true when it comes to what God has done for us. When we forget what God has done for us in the past, we are more likely to be filled with fear, worry, or even anxiety. When we face a problem in life, we begin to complain and wonder how we're ever going to make it. That's only because we've forgotten that God has brought us through so many things in the past. When we forget what God has done for us, it really messes us up. That's why we should
never forget what God has done. When you are going through a hard time, remember what God has done for you in the past. When you are sick, remember how God has healed you in the past. When you are sad, remember how God has given you joy in the past. It's easy to forget these things unless we remind ourselves. Perhaps each of us need to do just like the Israelites did and build a memorial to help remind us of what God has done for us in the past. Then every time we face something that seems impossible, we can remember exactly what God has done for us in the past. Then we will have faith for Him to bring us through a situation we are facing now.
But then I recall all you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. Psalm 77:11.
Welcome back, kids. We are back with today's Rewind Review. I am your host, Mr. Connor, and we have our two lovely contestants today, Mrs. Monique and Miss Danielle. We are going to get right into the questions. Answer along with us. Question number 1.
Oh.
Jumping the gun there, but you already know, because it is what you gotta know today.
I won't forget what God has done for me.
Yep, you got it. You got it.
She didn't get
True.
You guys knew that was going to be the first question. Maybe I should mix it. Maybe I should switch it up.
Assume things here, but...
All right, question 2. What was the name of the river Joshua had to cross?
It was the Jordan River.
Correct. Joshua crossed the Jordan. Question 3. Why was the River Jordan so hard to cross?
Because the water level was high. At like the highest point, I believe it was, because it was flooded or something.
Correct. It's called flood stage. So the water is very deep as well as it is very wide, very difficult to cross, very dangerous. Question 4. The moment the priests got their feet into the water, what happened?
The water stopped?
The river stopped flowing. Wow, that's awesome.
Woo.
You guys are doing great. Question 5. Keep it up. What did Joshua instruct the men to pick up on their way across the Jordan River?
Large rocks, I think.
Large
rocks.
boulders.
Large rocks.
Large rocks. You guys are correct. Large rocks. How many stones did the Israelites include in the altar? How many stones or how many large rocks?
I do believe it was 12.
12, a whole dozen. Great job. Question 7. According to our lesson today, there is blank in remembering.
Power?
There is power in
Yep.
remembering. Great job. You knew you had it. Say it confidently.
Yeah.
Question 8. According to our lesson, there is danger in blank.
Forgetting. There's danger in forgetting.
There's danger in forgetting. Very good. So that leads us to our next question, question 9. And according to our lesson today, never forget what God has blank.
Done?
Never forget what God has done for you, because that could be dangerous in the future. So great job.
True.
You guys are doing awesome. Question 10, here we go. You already know what I'm gonna ask. Where was the power verse found from today?
Psalm 77:11.
Woo! Good rhyme there, 77:11. Okay, you guys both did awesome. I'm sure you guys did great at home as well. We are so glad you joined us for today's Rewind Review, and we will see you next week on our episode.
Excuse me. What you gotta know?
Today's lesson was about what? You didn't forget, did you? We specifically talked about not forgetting, the importance of remembering, because when Joshua had those men bring up those 12 stones, it was to remember, because we forget. I mean, even for me in my life, there is many things that I have forgotten, and I'll use a sticky note, or I'll have someone remind me to do something, because what? We get distracted, we forget things, but it's really valuable that we don't. So as you go out this week, try to remember this lesson. And if God's showing you something, don't forget it. Write it down, memorize the scripture, whatever it does that you need, do it. And we'll see you next week.